All right. Shout out to the mighty Who Dat Nation. We up in this thing, Sports Coma, Big Q representing the mighty Who Dat Nation, man. In this one, we're going to be going into some stuff, man. We're going to be breaking down a few topics of discussion on this Monday night stream. Y'all, do me a service, hit the like button, man. Be talking about the Falcons. The Falcons got themselves a coach who failed in Cleveland. He led a team called the Browns down, and now he's going to help the Falcons continue their descent. Anyway, and then, of course, on top of that, man, we got some other news we're going to talk about with the Senior Bowl and what's going on with our team representing. Going to talk about the NFL, rather, and the coaching carousel that keeps on spinning. We heard Sean McDermott got canned. So that's a lot of really established and prestigious coaches that did some positive things with the teams where they were located at. We're talking about the Steelers. You're talking about Baltimore. You're talking about Buffalo. All those guys are gone out of the door, and new coaches in their stead, man. I don't know what the trend is going on, but I hope these people know what they're doing when you kick stability out of the door. The guy had a plan. You might just want to add to it, but hey, man, it ain't my damn team. Anyway, we're going to cover most of this on this episode of the Coma. Y'all hit the like buttons. Shout out to FanDuel, the official sponsor for the Sports Coma with Big Q. Also, feel free to check out FanDuel, man. Go there and get your bets in. The NFL playoffs are still running. We got NBA action, boxing, college football tonight. Y'all get y'all bets in at FanDuel, baby. We up in this thing. Anyway, let's get right into it. Y'all smack that like button. We'll cover this one. Shout out to the Who Dat Dish. As you can see, the Saints crack a smile after Kevin Stefanski won't save the Falcons from their fatal flaw. Let's get right on into it. And listen, I don't want to throw cold water on the Falcons, man, even though it's fun to do. But at the end of the day, man, they're happy about Stefanski being the coach. I'm just saying, listen, there are more qualified coaches, man, than Kevin Stefanski. Now, he did some positive stuff with the Browns, but he himself was his biggest problem. So anyway, the Falcons filled the head coaching vacancy with Stefanski Saturday evening. They called it a big name hire, but the Saints family members shouldn't be concerned. I'll stop the Falcons bleeding, typically formed by self-inflicted wounds. Stefanski is a two-time coach of the year despite being fired by the Browns. Stefanski bounced back. He really should have been fired the year before last year. But he bounced back with a new job weeks later. Only John Harbaugh secured a job quicker than Stefanski. Of course, y'all know Harbaugh went to the Giants. Despite those coach of the year seasons being his only winning season, there's clearly a positive opinion in him in coaching circles. Stefanski won't help the Falcons' biggest issue. Let's see what the writer has to say. The Falcons have a good amount of talent on the team. It sucks to say, but it's true. They have Bijan Robinson, Drake London. Those are ballers. We know that. At the running back and wide receiver position, Kyle Pitts is a pending free agent, but the two sides are coming to a deal before or during free agency isn't far-fetched. The talent is there on defense too, but the headline in Atlanta is the offensive core. They're missing two things: someone to maximize the talent, possibly a quarterback. Getting strong play from Michael Penix Jr. is key to unlocking the team. The Falcons have the pieces around the quarterback, but if you don't have the quarterback, it doesn't matter. It's on Stefanski to bring out Penix now. Stefanski's track record with young quarterbacks isn't great. The Baker Mayfield partnership lasted 2 years. One was solid, the other not so much. The team quickly punted on Mayfield after the second year. There seemed to be some disinterest in developing Shador last year, and it was the defining aspect of, though Dylan Gabriel did get a significant amount of run, patience with younger quarterbacks seems sparse, and development has been low. In totality, how Stefanski operates with a young quarterback is a huge question mark he'll have to roll with for Penix for at least a season. There isn't much of a reason to be confident in the partnership panning out. The lack of confidence in that aspect makes it hard to view Stefanski as a answer for Atlanta. On the surface, this feels like a good but not great hire. Stefanski comes to Atlanta with accolades of a great coach. Things went wrong in Cleveland, and there's reason to think shortcomings are on the horizon in Atlanta as well. So anyway, like I said, a decent offensive coordinator, a decent offensive coordinator. But like I said, Stefanski I've been reading about him, and having not been able to develop the quarterbacks properly, having some detachment there. I mean, me personally, I thought the Falcons could have, done a better hire than Kevin Stefanski. But Matt Ryan, who's not a general manager, a guy who's that was coaching the game. I mean, playing the game some years ago, then was on CBS, and all of a sudden he's become some type of exec to run the team. I mean, he has no experience in that department at all. Just because he's Matty Icy Hot, he goes and gets Stefanski. So I'm like, hey man, it's their team. I mean, I'm happy to see Kevin Stefanski there, and they'll have to figure it out, man. But listen, like I told you before on the previous broadcast, is that the New Orleans Saints, in my estimation, are looking at them in Carolina. We swept Carolina last year, but I think the two top people that be battling out for the NFC South in the upcoming season will be the Saints and Carolina. Tampa Bay is going through some issues and problems currently. We all understand this. And the Atlanta Falcons have a new coach, and it's going to take a while. You basically resetting back to zero again. They got to find out the backup quarterback position. And guess what? This free agency this year sucks at the quarterback position. No disrespect, but it's a bunch of this class of quarterbacks are not good at all, right? You got a couple of guys, the former Giant and Indianapolis quarterback at the top of it. He coming off an ACL tear, so he might not be ready for the season. And then outside of that, you got the old man Aaron Rodgers at the top of there, and it ain't looking too good, man. It really isn't. Now Malik Willis is an interesting option there. Do you have some restricted status on Hendon Hooker, which make all of the stuff pertaining to other quarterbacks valid, very valid, as people will be probably looking outside of that. Even in the draft, the quarterback selection is not looking that good early on. Now, later on in the draft, perhaps you can get a good quality quarterback, but he won't be a starter for you. You have to sit there and wait. In Atlanta, these people want to win right now. So they've already, post June 1st marked, what's his name? Kurt, somebody else's cousins there. So, this could be a situation where the team be looking to kind of move around and see if they can find other people elsewhere. You see what I'm getting at? So we're going to see how it all turns and twists, man. It's going to be fun watching what happens. But in my estimation, man, it all resets to zero. He has to install his system. Now, he did do a good job in keeping Jeff Ulbrich as the defensive coordinator, so that was a positive. And then he'll just worry about the offense. But he has some pieces in place. Tyler Algier is also a free agent that they have that'll be out there. Pitts won't be cheap to re-sign. Let's just be honest with you. There'll be other teams competing for his services, so he won't be cheap. So it's a couple of things they have to do. They have some installation they have to do, but it's going to take at least a year for them to get this stuff turned around. And as far as I'm concerned, the Saints are trending in the right direction. The Falcons are pretty much stuck at where they are, where they belong. All right. So this is what it is. And so anyway, man, let's keep the thing twisting and turning, and we stop messing with the Falcons people. Anyway, off-season priorities coming into 2026, our to-do list, man, for the New Orleans Saints. Number one, address the offensive line, baby. I got it set up here with, some of these players here. And secure a starting left guard. Improve the run blocking with names. They got Tevin Jenkins on there as potential targets, and ensuring the center health. Now, like we talked about, I am totally cool with definitely cool with bringing back the likes of Luke Fortner. I think Luke Fortner did a fantastic job as the backup center. He played well, very well. He played better than he did in the years he was with the Jacksonville Jaguars. He just needed a change of scenery. He came here and settled right on in. When McCoy missed half the season, Luke Fortner at first started off a little rocky, but toward the back end going into when the Saints started winning games, it was largely part of the quarterback playing well, everybody playing well, to be honest with you. But in particular, the offensive line started really opening up lanes for the running backs to take off and move and run, for the quarterback to take off and move and run. And they did a stellar job of keeping Tyler Shuck upright to be able to develop and make throws and passes, this sort of thing. So the offensive line, we have a few people already there. Luke Fortner should be resigned back to the team. I don't see anybody like giving him a big bag to go somewhere else. I think Luke Fortner should maintain and stay with the Saints because more than likely, based on the last several years, he'll get an opportunity to play at the center position. That's unfortunate to say, but when you got a guy that missed 24 games in 4 years, what you expect? I mean, just 20-something games the last season. So, I mean, the last couple of years at least. So you got to fortify that. You can't ignore that. You got to look at that. It's a hole at the left guard position. Indeed, Dylan Redunce shouldn't be coming back. In my estimation, we can find somebody better. The right guard position has Cesar Ruiz there, who needs somebody to compete against. I think either the Saints, they should draft a player to go there and open up the starting job for the right guard position and force Cesar Ruiz to earn his right guard position. Shouldn't be just given to him based on status. He should have to earn the right guard position because his play is insufferable over there. It's insufferable. All right, anyway, the salary cap management, voiding contracts for veterans like Davis and Cam Jordan and Taysom Hill will be crucial for cap relief, requiring tough decisions on their returns. I think the Saints are over $19 million in the red currently. According to Over the Cap, things will improve. The Saints will restructure several contracts to get down. No doubt about it. They will continue to do what they've been doing. And by, when we get ready for free agency, man, we might have $25, $30 million worth of cap. The way they operate, they'll cut all of that stuff down. And like I said, Double D and Cam Jordan should be afforded the opportunity to come back on a 1-year extension, or not extension because the contract expired, but a new contract that is feasible for both players, like respectable of both players, but also respectable of the team, right? And of course, the free agency, number 3, free agency and contracts decide on resigning key veterans like DeMario and Cam, and potentially bringing back cornerback Alontae Taylor. Now, let's stop and put a pin in this and kind of pivot to what would it cost, to keep an Alontae Taylor, right? Let's kind of delve into that because that's something I had to look at. I was like, okay, what would it take? What would be the cost for keeping a guy like Alontae Taylor? What would the cost be? Well, if you're going to pay Alontae Taylor, right? They have how many cornerbacks? Okay, let's look at it. What cornerbacks? There are several cornerbacks in the league that's making $10 million a year. Is that Alontae Taylor? 10 million. Now, I'm going to name the list for you guys. Derek Stingley Jr. is making $10 million. Sauce Gardner is these are making at least $10 million a year or more, right? With top players exceeding $30 million in average annual or AV, which is average annual value. Derek Stingley Jr., Sauce Gardner, J.C. Harm, and Jalen Ramsey, right? But doesn't surpass in the 10 million mark for just last year, according to Sport Track, right? Let me give you the factors. It is right here. Top earners over 20 million average, right? Sauce Gardner at 30.1, Stingley 30, Horn 25, Ramsey 24. You see Surtain 24. And those are some of the higher earners. A.J. Terrell from the Falcons, Denzel Ward. Then you see other high earners, 19.5, Marshawn Lattimore, Marlon Humphreys, Travion Diggs, Tyson Campbell, L'Jarius Sneed. And these are some of the guys right here on the list. Paulson Adebo. So that is the question. Like, do some of these guys, hold on, let me kind of pull my sport rack up, right? Get my sport track up right here so I can pull it up for you too. Because this is the thing. Is Alontae Taylor, do you play Alontae Taylor $10 million a year? That's the question. That's the question I'm asking about. Do you pay him $10 million a season? Does that happen? I don't know, man. I don't know but the Saints know what he's looking for. They know with people are wanting to happen. Like they know the NFL, what the NFL wants to pay him. Now, hold on, let me pull a page up here, fam, so I can show y'all the position, or the cornerback position of where he will be playing out of. And it goes to show you, man, the averages are ridiculous, man. These guys making $30 million a season. Crazy work. You're thinking about IQ, that's like such a, man, these guys making, they paying, that's a huge chunk of change that they paying them. You know, the contract averages out at $30 million a season. Now, overall, Sauce Gardner's contract is a 4-year deal, right? It's a 4-year deal at $120 million, right? Now, they reworked the contract in 25. He got a base of 625. They reworked it. In 25, it's 5.2. And then Sauce Gardner's contract elevates in like a step pyramid. The next 27 is 13. It's almost 14 million. 28 is 19 million. 29 is 29. And then when he hits 2030 is 29, the same. So they got it set up where it averages out at 30 million a year. Is that Alontae Taylor? I know Alontae to me is not a $30 million cornerback, not a year. But, you know, I was looking at some of these other guys. I'm like, damn, what's some of these guys with the averages being? Denzel Ward for Cleveland is 20 million according to over the cap. I mean, Sport Track. You see some of these other guys, some of the names that's north. Hold on, let me get the averages right here so I can line them up here. But yeah, some of the averages here, there's a bunch of them that's over. Even Paulson Adebo, the guy we told Paulson Adebo no on the contract that the Giants offered him. Remember when he became a free agent? We were thinking about bringing him back. The Giants, he in the second year of the deal, he signed a 3-year deal at $54 million. That's $18 million a year for Paulson Adebo. $18 million. Is that good enough for Alontae Taylor? Is Alontae a $18 million cornerback to you? That's the question. And not just to you, to the Saints, but other people that are up there. Carlton Davis, Travarius Ward, Byron Murphy, Jamel Dean, 16 million, DJ Reed, 12 million. And they got other people like Nate Hobbs from Green Bay. That's 12 million. Zion McCullum from Tampa Bay is listed at 16 million for real. And then you go on and so forth. So somewhere along the line, we know he's going to be looking for something. He's going to be looking for some paper. Let's just put it to you like that. And he's consistent with one of the top cornerbacks in this free agency cycle. So he's hitting free agency and he's going to be looking to get paid. And of course you say, well, Q, what was his deal this year? He's still on his rookie deal. He was making just over 1.8 million a year for the Saints. So it's a big bump in production if you're him. So you expect him to go, his numbers to kind of ratchet up and go a little higher than that, you know. So we'll see what it is, man, at the end of the day. But it's going to be interesting to see where the Saints see. They're going to let the market dictate his value there. Obviously, that's what they're going to do. I'm sorry, he made 7.2. I'm sorry, y'all. I was looking at his other number, but he made 7.2. So to say, okay, is he worth 10? That's 3 million. Bump. He might be looking for maybe a little double than that. You never know. I could see him asking for $14-15 million a year. Could y'all see that? I mean, because you look at some of the guys that's ahead of him. Darius Slay makes $10 million a year. Michael Jackson for Carolina, he makes 10.5. Greg Newsome is 12.7. Nate Wiggins is 12.8. Dante Jackson for the Chargers is 13. Dante Banks for the Giants is 13.5, 13.9 for Trent McDuffie, so on and so forth. So, you know, that's something that I want you guys to answer. What are you willing to pay to get Alontae Taylor back to the Saints? Are you willing to pay what you paid Paulson Adebo? 18 million. And it's like anywhere between 10. I'll just put it to you like this. My value, and to be honest with you, my value for Alontae Taylor, even though he was making 7.2 this past year on his rookie contract, my bump would be anywhere between maybe 10 to 12. 10 to 12, like that's on the cheap side. Now he might be considered better than some of the players that you see ahead of him, but the market will elevate his value. I guarantee it'll be north of 15 million. If the market's in place, and then Paulson Adebo got 18 last year, why wouldn't Alontae get 18 this year? And we know did Paulson Adebo at the very least did get picks for the Saints, right? That's the thing that really elevates your value. If you can get interceptions, if you can get picks, they'll pay you if you're a cornerback that's known to get picks. Now Paulson, they say, okay, let me answer y'all numbers on what Paulson did from a pick perspective for the Saints during his career. He had 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. He had 11 interceptions. Well, no, actually he had one last year, so he had 10. All right, so yeah, he had 10 interceptions with the Saints over 4 years, from 21 to 24. He had 10 interceptions, right? And they paid him $18 million a year for 3 years. Now, let me look at Paulson Adebo's numbers. Alontae Taylor's numbers, and see where his interceptions are. I'm just doing a reference because, like I said, they'll pay you if you're an interception machine. If you get picks and sacks, they pay for touchdowns if you're a wide receiver or running back. They pay for or even a tight end. Like if you're touchdowns, if you catching touchdowns for a wide receiver, tight end, running back, you're getting a lot of yards, this sort of thing. But the touchdowns is big. If you're a defensive lineman and you get sacks, that's the big stat. If you're a DB, or a linebacker with tackles for a linebacker, interceptions for a linebacker too. But if you're a defensive back, you can have tackles, but if picks is really what sets you apart. If you're a guy that gets interceptions, they pay for that. So I said, 10 interceptions for Paulson Adebo got him an $18 million annual contract. Well, let's see what Alontae Taylor, I'm looking at her right now, see how many interceptions he got since he's been with the Saints. And he has 4 picks. He got 4 picks over the 4 years that he's been. So you had one guy that got 10, the other guy that got 4. So knowing his tackles was high. Now, he did play a lot of snaps. He was very productive doing this thing. He had 83 total tackles this past season. He had 2 picks, right? He played 94% of his snaps. He had 89 tackles the previous year, 2 forced fumbles, no picks. And then the previous year after that, it kind of drops a bit. He has 75 and 45 in his first year. So Alontae Taylor is he's like a linebacker, not a linebacker, but he's a tackling defensive back. He's really cool with being around the line of scrimmage. You can move him and send him on blitz. He loves that. But his coverage stuff, he needs to improve as a coverage guy. He really does. Like you remember at least 2 or 3 interceptions that he gave up this year that I can recount for, or that I really care not to recount. But one in particular was against the Rams, when he got beat on the goal line. He didn't jam the guy. The guy just put a little simple move on him, got in front of him and caught the ball. It was plays like what was the final game of the season where he passed off the wide receiver. Who was that? That was Drake London, wasn't it? Drake London that caught the ball in the right corner of the end zone. He went up and then cut across the field to that right corner. And that's when nobody's cousins found him in the end zone wide open. People was looking around like, who's that man? That was Alontae Taylor blowing that coverage. So like I said, he's suspect in his coverage at times, but he's a solid tackle in DB. You going to pay north of $15 million for that? The Saints are not sure what his value is, so they're allowing the market to dictate that. Y'all put it in the chat. Let me know. What would you pay? Seriously, because I don't think he's going to take 10. I think his agent is probably going to aim at 14, north of 14, $15 million. They're going to try to double it up. He made 7.2. We want 14 or maybe 15. They're going to try to let the market dictate what it is. And we could probably lose him. But if it's somebody dumb enough like the Giants that paid Paulson Adebo $18 million this year for 1 pick, they might very well be the one to get it. They do have some knuckleheaded teams out here that overspend on players. So he's to me the greatest risk of leaving off the top. So anyway, let's keep it going and moving, man. And on that topic, because that was something of interest. Also, while we're talking about that, let's keep going back to our little list here and carry on. Y'all hit that like button as we move this thing further along, man. Let's go back. All right. So the weaponizing offense, that's another on the to-do list, right? Weaponized offense, add high-end weapons like a strong tight end. They're talking about Dallas Goedert, or run after the catch receiver to support Tyler Shuck. Right now, the Saints have, I think it's 11 or 12 wide. I want to say it's 11 wide receivers in their room. Now, listen, Chris Olave is the only surefire thing in terms of being a veteran. He is on a 1-year deal remaining. They're paying him $15 million a year, which kind of leads us into what would a possible deal with Chris Olave look like, right? What would that be? You know, the Saints going to have him on that 1 year because they picked up that option on 15 plus million for that 1 year. But to be honest with you, the guy finished with the 7th most catches in the NFL, the 7th most. He balled out. And if any time you want a new long-term deal, you have to excel and do everything. So he caught more catches than he ever did before. He had a 100 catch season. He would have had more. He would probably have done like 110 plus if he didn't have the blood clot in his lung. So he excelled in many of these high-end statistics that should give you a big deal. So what would you guys pay for a wide receiver of Chris Olave's abilities? That would be the thing. And I have some information for you guys, you know, to kind of say that in 2026, the NFL, some of the top wide receivers will earn $20 million annually, right? About $20 million annually. That's a lot of bread. Is that what the Saints going to turn over for Chris Olave? Remember, they've been negotiating, according to what we're being told, for the last 2 months. And like I showed you in the previous stream about Chris Olave, when I played the end of the year streams, and you heard Chris Olave said, I've done all I can do. It's in their hands now. You know, so he's throwing it back at the Saints, and that's really putting it on Mickey Loomis and the rest of those guys to see what they can do. But when you talk about contracts and you talk about guys that's making a lot of money in the league, you know, you got guys that's making some pretty big dough. So when you talking about wide receivers, let me pull up this stuff right here for the wide receivers here. And just to get an estimation, because the market sets the value on a lot of these guys. Look at this. This on screen right here. You can see Jamar Chase right now. You can see his averages right there, averaging 40 million plus. Chase for the Bungles, averaging 40.2 million annual. Justin Jefferson, another great LSU wide receiver, at 35 million. CeeDee Lamb at 34. And they about to bring George Pickens. The Dallas Cowboys are going to make George Pickens, who's the top free agent prospect in this upcoming cycle. He is going to get chipped off lovely. Dallas is going to make sure they pay him a great deal, or somebody's going to pay him, because he had a very great year, and they're going to pay him big dough. DK Metcalf is at over 30. So is Garrett Wilson. That's another guy that's a lot of people say is comparable, even though Garrett Wilson, some see him as a more productive version of Chris Olave. He had a deal signed where he is making 30 plus mil a season. And then there's Brandon Ayuk from the 49ers. Those are the 30 million club. Now, of course, we know Chase is by himself in terms of the 40.2 million. Might not be for long with the way Pickens play. You might have some company there. And of course, you see the rest of these guys. T. Higgins at 28, 27 for Moore. Terry McLaurin is also listed at 32.3. A.J. Brown at 32 mil. Calvin Ridley at 23 from Cortland Sutton. Tyreek Hill is 28.2. Jameson Williams is 26.6. Devontae Smith is 25 flat. Nico Collins, 24. And then it stops with them, and then it drops under 20. And then there's 18 from Christian Kirk, Michael Pittman, Chris Godwin, Stephon Diggs is 21.1, so on and so forth, right? Now, you can see when you get down here, you can see 17 for Kahil, and of course Cooper Kupp at 15. And like I said, there's a lot of these guys that's down here. Mike Evans is a free agent, so we'll see what his money look like. But like I said, and it's just a big year for Chris Olave, and he's looking to get paid. And you look for his salary. Chris Olave is still on that rookie deal. He got to be. I don't even see him on. I don't see. I got to keep scrolling to get to him, man. I must have passed him up. But yeah, look, yeah, Pickens making what 6.7, 6.7 on his deal, boy. He about to get broke off. All right, but anyway, man, like I said, man, it's going to be interesting to see. But what should this be? I think it's a lot going on here with the Saints. There go Chris Olave. They got him set at 19.2. That is his bump number. They got a 15 point. I guess they added the rest of it in there. But you can see him at 19.2 at 21 for the Saints. So they're looking at, that's the AAV on his salary. The average annual value for his contract is all factored in at 19 mil. So he's going. So the bottom line is where, I just think it's going to be interesting to see how they deal with the Chris Olave issue, because I thought that they would have gotten him already signed. I thought they would already sign Chris Olave, man. That's really strange that they're still taking this long. And you can see he's really kind of getting in his feelings about it, right? 14.8 right here, but the AAV is 19.2, but you can see his value, the his average right here. The value of it's at 19, but the average is at 4 point, what is it? 5, just shy of 5 million. Hold on here. Let me get it back up here. Because what's in the, like I said, the bottom, here it is right here. There you go. There go the number. 14.8. And the value of it at 19.2. So 14.8 annual. So what happens here is, if you Chris Olave, you're trying to get up here somewhere. You try to go from here. Up here, he ranked 7th in catches. He believes that he's a top 10 guy. So he wants to go from there to north of 20. I say, if you see his old buddy, because a lot of people talking about Garrett Wilson, there's nowhere in the world the Saints going to give him well, we'll see how it looks. We'll see how it looks. A 4-year deal valued at $130 million at 32.5 a year for him. Where do the Saints see Chris Olave's value at? Do they see it somewhere around 32.3 like Terry McLaurin? Most certainly Calvin Ridley at 23, right? So 23, 25-ish, where would you guys go with the Chris Olave thing? Of course, they're not pressed to come up with an extension right now with Chris Olave, because they got him tied in for, they picked up the option on him. So they got him for this upcoming season at $15 million. And at some point they would have to work on an extension for him. But do you see Mickey Loomis and the Saints paying Chris Olave north of $25 million a year? Even if 25, would 25 be the given rate that you go with for the Saints? Would it be 4 years at $100 million? Does that sound right? Y'all put it in the comment section. Let me know, because, the Saints, the Saints never paid that kind of money for nobody unless it was a quarterback. So for a position like that, $100 million, what the Saints going to do? You see, I know they're going to let Alontae Taylor's market be set up by his value interpreted by the market. But with Chris Olave over here, who's a bona fide stud at wide receiver, who rolls up and made things pop, what do? You see, are you paying him $25 million a year, 4 years, $100 million? I'm pretty sure he's going to want more than that. So he gets close. He wants, more than likely, probably going to want to get close to 28. He probably asking for $30 million a year. Like Brandon Ayuk dough. He's trying to get that Brandon Ayuk dough, that $30 million a year. Do you pay Chris Olave $30 million a year? Where do you go? See, a lot of people got to get to thinking on some of this stuff. Like I said, they're not in a terrible rush to kind of sign a man, because like I said, they still have him on, on that option. But at the same time, if you're the New Orleans Saints, where do you go with this? That could be a point of contention why they haven't done anything yet, man. They've been talking about this contract thing for the last couple of months, right? At least 2 months that I remember talking about it, that Olave was saying it happily, that they're working on a deal and expect numbers soon and all this. Put one in the chat if you remember that. Like, you expect this and all this kind of stuff, and nothing happened. So I don't know what's going on with that, but they got to make a decision, man. Chris Olave, they got to find the right price for him. Anyway, let's finish this up, man. Demario Davis, Cam Jordan, and others, man, are involved. Will they accept pay cuts or restructure to pay to stay given their high cap hits? I think they will. There's no leverage that Cam or Double D has. They want to finish as New Orleans Saints greats. And they'll accept deals like people say they ain't going to take a deal. Even Drew Brees took a cap cut or a difference in pay in his final year. He never did that, by the way, prior to that one last year. Drew Brees always wanted all his money, and he never took a pay cut. He'll take a restructure, or what they would do is he would then say, okay, I will allow you to restructure my money, and you can pay me this amount of half my deal right now. I'll let you pay me that right now. And that's what they were doing. It wasn't that he was taking more money, taking less money to play. He was getting his money from the back end of the contract up front, and they were then slicing that off the cap. You get what I'm saying? The last year on his deal is when he actually took a cut, the very last year, no other time before that. Because people were saying, yeah, he opened us out. He agreed to take future money the team owed him on the contract. He agreed to take it today. You get what I'm saying? So if you owe him whatever it was, $8-9 million a year next year, you can pay me that $8-9 million right now. You can take that off the cut. I'll take that money right now. That's what he was doing. Or he was agreeing to take half the money now, and then they'll kick it into however, Mickey Loomis was doing, finagling the money. They do it where they take when they pay you salary signing bonus money. Usually back in the G, you'll make, if you sign a contract, hey man, this is the deal, but listen, if you want to, I'll make it real spicy for you. If you sign this deal right now, I'll give you $5 million for your pen. It's called a signing deal. It's the signing arrangement. It's an incentive to sign the contract. They'll give you signing bonus. Hey man, listen, you sign this contract, I give you an additional $4 million. Just for signing the contract. And then what the Saints started doing is they started taking the signer's bonus money, and then they started cutting it up like they would do the annual money per year. You can look at Sport Track, you can look at Over the Cap, and you can see that the signing bonus money is cut up over time. They did cut it up everything. So anyway, the bottom line is I think they take less money to play for the Saints. I don't think it'll be disrespectful. I would not offer them Demario or Cam Jordan the vet minimum. That would be disrespectful. I think you would do better than the vet minimum, but at the same time, thinking about the teams from a futuristic standpoint, because they still got work to do. So I think they'll do that. Taysom Hill is retired. I think he'll be retired. I think it's over for Taysom. He left this season with a bum shoulder. He had he left the game with an injured shoulder, so he has some rehabbing to do. So I think Taysom Hill is his year with the Saints is over with. Remember, toward the back end of the season, you start seeing Taysom get real emotional about being here in New Orleans, talking about we was the only team to give him a chance. And he made a lot of money here, so I can see why he's crying. But at the end of the day, Taysom Hill, in my opinion, as a New Orleans Saint, I think he's over with. He knew it at the time during the year, how he was reflecting on some of this stuff. You could see that he felt like this is going to be his last year with the Saints. Now, who knows? Once he gets healthy, I think more than likely, like a lot of Saints players do, they'll go find Sean Payton, who's doing great things in Denver. And then, of course, we look at the wide receiver depth. It's a point of what people looking at to add more weapons around Tyler Shuck. Wide receiver depth, finding explosive playmakers to complement Chris Olave and Devon Valley, especially if they say Mike Thomas on here, but now with the departures of guys from the past, Thomas and Scantling, these guys, when they talk about adding talent there, Devon Valley, Mason Tipton, all these guys, they got a bunch of guys. I like 11 people that's in the wide receiver room. Now, a lot of these guys, a lot of them are untested. A lot of guys haven't shown enough. Like we have Chris Olave on that $15 million a year. We have Devon Valley. They gave up picks to bring in. He had a positive showing. He got hurt. We have a Jalen Polk, a guy that we brought over with a 6th-round pick. He is a 2nd-round talent, is a good player, but he's another untested player. And there are others, whether it's Mason Tipton, whether there is Bub Means, whether there's Kevin Austin Jr., who did a really good job this past season, who's showing potential. And there's a bunch of other guys that's on the wide receiver room that you can see have talent, but none of them are what you would consider a quality wide receiver or somebody that has shown it at a high level consistently, which could be something the Saints go after in free agency. They can probably find them a wide receiver, a veteran wide receiver to come in and do some stuff. They can do that. It's an interesting motion that they can hopefully look to do, but we'll see how they handle it. Now, the draft strategy is they focus on high impact players, potentially trading up with mid-round picks to land immediately contributors as the team looks to build on that last year's finish. The overall goal, build around Tyler Shuck and capitalize on momentum from last year, finishing by fixing core issues like offensive line play and finding complementary offensive weapons. That's pretty much what it breaks down to. In my estimation, like people want, Jeremiah Love, which if he's there, I would take him. I will really take him. I think somebody going to grab him before then because I think as he get closer and closer to pro day and when they do the NFL combine and all that kind of stuff, you're going to see his stock just go through the roof. But there are other great, really solid running backs that you can pick up later. But that dude is a dynamic changer for your offense. You hook Love and Shuck up, man, that'll be phenomenal. But you also still have to build the offensive line. You have to get the left guard. You have to keep adding depth. You have to add Luke Fortner back. You have to draft some help or sign a help. And for however you do, you got to address the offensive line. I think that's the point of contention. Once we do that, then you can add players around him and give him all the weapons that he needs. But that offensive line cannot be ignored, right? Right. All right, hit that like button as we get going, man. As we continue, Kellen Moore's staff will be well represented at this year's Senior Bowl. Here it is. Shout out to NOLA.com. Provide the scoop. The Saints will have a heavy presence at this year's Senior Bowl. Saints running back coach Joel Thomas will serve as the head coach of the American team in the All-Star exhibition game featuring players vying to be selected in the upcoming draft. He'll have a number of Saints assistants working under him. The Saints quarterback coach Scott Tolzien will serve as Thomas' offensive coordinator, while linebackers coach Pete Sermon will coordinate the defense. Kyle Wilbur, a special teams assistant to Phil Galliano, will be the special teams contributor. In addition to the coordinator spot, Saints assistant defensive back Robert Blanton, who's the DB coach, college scouting coordinator Zayed Kupti, whose operations and assistant to the head coach Mike Martinez operations will be a part of Thomas's staff on the American team. Philadelphia Eagles defensive line coach Clint Hurt will be the head coach of the national team. So that's a few guys. So we see Joel Thomas representing there at the Senior Bowl will be big. And remember, the Senior Bowl, prides itself as an unofficial start of the draft. It takes place January the 31st in Mobile, Alabama. In the lead up to the game, the All-Star events host 3 practices for prospects to compete and be watched by scouts, coaches, and executives from NFL teams. Let me tell you something. The Saints take this Senior Bowl real. There's a lot of players that the Saints have drafted over time, like guys like Nick Saldiveri and others that were main contributors and participants in the Senior Bowl. And it's an event very close to the city, to the staff, and they contribute a lot of resources to the Senior Bowl to get people. So it's going to be pretty cool to watching that happen. So we'll see Coach Thomas get his coach on, man, and get a good eye view at some of the best seniors in the country for this season, right? Anyway, let's push on, man, and move it to kind of jump right into some of the hiring news from the coaching carousel that's been happening. Dolphins reportedly hired Jeff Hafley as the Bills fire Sean McDermott. So Coach McDermott ended yesterday's game. They lost the game to Sean Payton's Broncos, man. So shout out to Coach Payton. Got a team back in the championship game. And after the game was over with, the next day, they fired McDermott. GM Brandon Beane reportedly retained his job and will find McDermott's replacement. You know what they're going to do. They're going to pivot, ended up taking Joe, they're going to go with Joe Brady. That's been the worst kept rumor so far of the offset. Now we'll see what they if they actually case. But my coach will be Brady. He was stepping as the offensive coordinator. He's a guy that Josh Allen likes a lot. He could be the guy that leads that offense. So unfortunately, he took, uh, you know, he lost his job. But something tell me he'll be coaching soon. Maybe Las Vegas, Arizona could be a good fit for him. There's still teams without coaches that could use a good solid coach like Sean McDermott. He went over there to Buffalo and turned them completely around. Buffalo wasn't they wasn't doing that good, and for 9 years the man left he left Coach Andy Reid's squad, if I'm not mistaken, and went over there and had them people competitive 4 years. They couldn't take it to the next level, but that wasn't necessarily all his fault. They had other teams in his that just outplayed him. He had to go against Kansas City. He had to go against he had a couple of teams. Baltimore was there, so that was two of the biggest problems, getting over Kansas City, getting over Baltimore. And then this year, they had an opportunity where they could step ahead, but I don't think this team was as talented as the previous two that we've seen. But it was all on Josh Allen. He went in the game, he threw 3 touchdowns, but 2 interceptions that really hurt him as well. But they put it on McDermott. So, I mean, in the end, man, I don't know what this protecting of Josh Allen is, because you can't keep protecting the quarterback. He ain't gonna thrive like that. All right, so the Bills' AFC East rival, the Dolphins, are reportedly finalizing a deal to hire Coach Jeff Hafley. And he spent 2 years as the Green Bay Packers defensive coordinator. We heard that Coach LaFleur, who's the Green Bay Packers HC, he ended up getting an extension, but he'll lose his defensive coordinator. And the moves a busy weekend that's seen two of the biggest moves. About the 2 days of curious silence, news broke. The Giants and Harbaugh finalized the deal and made the official hire. The deal is 5 years with an estimated value of $100 million. They paid John Harbaugh to be that coach. They had a couple of teams that were interested in him. And the Giants says, we're not going to let you out the building. So that's one of the largest contracts in the league, according to NFL reporter Jordan Schultz. Harbaugh becomes the Giants' 5th head coach, 7 counting interim since Tom Coughlin resigned back in 2016. The former Baltimore Ravens offensive coordinator Todd Monken is expected to join him on staff. So on Saturday, the Falcons officially announced that Kevin Stefanski will be its next head coach. The former Browns coach takes over for Raheem Morris, becoming the Falcons' 3rd coach in the past 6 seasons. It's not, I'm telling you, it's that vampire y'all got down there, Blankula. Count Blankula is just sapping all of the energy out of the organization. 6 seasons in 20-year franchise history. Green Bay, meanwhile, is standing pat with leadership. Matt LaFleur is reported getting a contract extension. Brian Guntkus mentioned that, so he's getting a multi-year deal. So this is a couple of the rundown here. Harbaugh is with the Giants head coaching record, 180-113. Got a 13-11 playoff record, including a Super Bowl title, 18 years with one team, 180-113. I remember John Harbaugh coming from that respected Harbaugh family. He came out of a special teams background, if I'm not mistaken. People were kind of questionable, like this guy here, but he went there and made it happen. He knows football. So anyway, you can see that, man. But it's going to be interesting. He has Jackson Dart and Cam Scatterbo, Malik Neighbors, Andrew Thomas on offense, defense, Dexter Lawrence, Brian Burns, Abdul Carter. They got some talent. They need to build around, and we'll see what Coach Harbaugh does to build up the Giants, man. But they're going to be excited. And of course, we look at Stefanski's 45-56 record. They're excited about a 45-56 record guy with 1-2 playoff record, 6 seasons with the Browns. Top names on the market. Sound familiar? Atlanta. Stefanski's offensive acumen is a hybrid of multiple schemes and coaching trees, but he's not much on in terms of developing quarterbacks, which is what they're going to need. So we'll see what happens there, man, and how they'll build. But they did keep Jeff Ulbrich at the defensive coordinator, which is what they wanted to do. They wanted to bring an offensive-minded coach in, keep the defense, and they think that'll give them the success that they need. But his personality, many people question his personality and how he can communicate the game to his quarterbacks. And he has not done a good job, whether it was Baker Mayfield, whether it was Deshaun Watson, whether it's whomever who he had out there, Joe Flacco, wasn't he out there? All kind of people. The Miami Dolphins, this is a very interesting hire because Jeff Hadley They had Mike McDaniels out there for a long time. He was an offensive, innovative guy. He decided to go back to the defensive side of it. And the direct connection is John Eric Sullivan, who was hired as the general manager, on January the 9th after spending over 2 decades with the Packers organization. So he just went, caught the job and went and hired back where he came from. So is it a good fit? I don't know, man. I don't know how that's going to work. They had a lot of other people on the hiring situation that was better than what this is, and I thought maybe they probably would have done better if they'd went, find another, maybe a more seasoned offensive mind there, but they went back to the defensive side because the guy knew the other guy. So I don't know how it's going to happen. We'll see. But they got to clean up the salary cap. They got the Tua situation you got to worry about. So, I mean, we'll see what's going on, man, with that. Devon Achane is a stud running back. We've seen what he did. The offensive line is starting to look good. They still have to solve the QB position. They got some problems with the defense. But the Miami Dolphins, man, is something interesting. So that's a few of them. So anyway, the fired side, we talk about Sean McDermott, who's on the market with a record of 106-58, including 9 seasons. As a guy, he didn't reach the Super Bowl, who he won. Josh Allen won the MVP back in 2024. And Kansas City was there. Kansas City also had some issues with Baltimore. They couldn't get over the hump. But there is no excuse for this year. Sean Payton taking the team there, regardless or not, they had to go up there to Detroit and play. Denver, and play. But the bottom line is Josh Allen should have won that game, man. I know it's on the road. I know the home team, it was 4 games, 3 home teams, 1 versus 1 road loss team. So 3-1 versus the home versus the away type situation. The Steelers still need a coach. Mike Tomlin stepped down. He had 200 plus wins in 19 years with the Steelers, including the Super Bowl. Went to the Super Bowl twice, won 1. And of course, you can see the rest of these guys right here. Callahan and all these other guys were fired. Still multiple jobs open right now. So you can see some of them, just to give you a quick brief look at it. Giants requesting interview with Dolphins defensive coach Durante Jones. Y'all remember Durante Jones is a good young coach. Steelers just completed first round head coach interviews. You can write the Panthers, Evero, the defensive coordinator. Heffley's gone. Clay Kubiak from the 49ers. Jesse Minter from the Chargers. Chris Shula from the Rams. Anthony Weaver from the Dolphins. So the Steelers, boy, they getting young, man. They're going for a young. They don't want an old man head coach no more. They want some young people over there. Robert Saleh got his second interview with the Cardinals. So we know Saleh bombed in what was with Saleh with the Jets, right? He went back, did the defensive thing. Now could he be the Cardinals guy? So he's getting an interview there with the Arizona Cardinals and so on and so forth. And how about the Kansas City Chiefs looking to try to bring back a familiar face, hiring wide receivers coach and passing game coordinator Chad O'Shea, according to Tom Pelissero. They're also rumored to be them looking at an old offensive coordinator to bring back to the fold in Kansas City. So it's a lot going on, man, as well. Arthur Smith got interviewed for the offensive coordinator job with the Steelers. This man come from money, man. Take your ass, just go somewhere, brother. And of course, this is a couple of things we talk about, the hiring. Jeff Hatley with Miami. I'm going to be watching that to see how that works. So Brian Flores is another interesting addition. Is it time for Flores to get a head coaching opportunity? And that's Eric Bieniemy planning to return to Kansas City, possibly as an offensive coordinator. So Bieniemy going back to KC. So that's another interesting aspect of it. That's very interesting, man. With Nagy possibly leaving, Eric Bieniemy coming back. So these are a few of the things kind of going over right here, man, as well. So, and look at that Gannon. Jonathan Gannon is he interviewed with the supposed to be interviewing with the Cowboys for the defensive coordinator position. This is the fired Arizona coach. So a lot of stuff. Lions hired Drew Petzing, who's the former Cardinals OC. They hired him to take over the job right there. And Dan Campbell saying, man, we need better offense for the Lions after they kind of took a step back. So a lot of stuff trending in the NFL world. Pretty cool seeing it, man. But it's interesting to see McDermott, man, get the short end of the stick as well. And of course, we kind of just mentioned it, man. We talk about the playoffs. Seeing Seattle that's led by Clint Kubiak, the Chicago Bears defense led by Dennis Allen, who they just lost. They lost to the Rams 20-17. Sean Payton leading the Broncos to the AFC Championship game. What, in the year, what was it, 2 or 3? I forget. I forgot how long Coach Payton, maybe 2 or 3. I don't know. But he just looks inspired, man. They lost Bo Nix. They got a tough game up against the Patriots, who you got the former Tennessee Titan coach, went to New England 1 year and turned them around and got them in the AFC Championship game. You talk about phenomenal. Some turnarounds that happen, man. Seattle's playing really good football right now. So it's a lot of stuff going on. Seattle and the Rams will battle it out. You can never take your eye off of Matt Stafford and the Rams. As long as they got their guys, man, you can never take your eye on them. You lose some of the Rams lost some really good players, but still look where they are. So that's what I'm saying. What culture and scheme and identity means something in the NFL. Let me tell you something. Anyway, that's all I got for y'all tonight, man. I appreciate y'all for popping in on the broadcast. I know we touched on a bunch of stuff, but also feel free to hit up FanDuel, man, for all your bets, whether it's going on with the NFL playoffs, basketball, pro basketball, college, boxing, wherever. Check out FanDuel, man, the official sponsor of the Coma. One final article, a bonus article for you guys before I depart. Spencer Rattler deserves another opportunity. Teammates are saying that about him, right? Chris Olave said it. Tyler Shuck said it. And it's a fair thing. But if my thing is, we're going to hold on to Spencer Rattler, because we don't have any other choice. You don't, unless they sign. And I'm pretty sure the Saints at some point are going to add a quarterback, maybe for agency, like old veteran, or perhaps they could take one. To be honest with you, if you're looking for a quarterback that would not threat Spencer Rattler, Tyler Shuck, who could be a really good quarterback and just sit behind him and develop over time, this is a good draft for you to do that. Because if you get back to like the 4th and 5th round, and you see some of these quarterbacks, they're going to have a few quarterbacks that's going to be available, because this is a horrible quarterback draft. So a lot of the quarterbacks that'll be going up high, Mendoza will be more than likely on the guy. Now, of course, they're going to reach, and you might see, based on the performances of some of these guys, because they're rated really low right now, that can all change, right? This is all speculative and could change at a moment's notice based on the pro days, that they'll be attending, and the NFL scouting combine. So when that start happening, guys could kind of ratchet up, because right now their stock is really low. I'm talking about guys like Cade Klubnik from Clemson, or Drew Allard from Penn State. Right now, Trinidad Chambliss, he's headed for the draft, because he was denied his another year of eligibility. So he's out of college eligibility. So he has to become pro. He could be thrown in the mix. And there are other quarterbacks like Nussmeier from LSU. Where do some of these guys go, right? We'll start looking at that down the line. But just to make mention of it. So, yeah, unless they're giving up a pick, because like I said, this is not a good free agency at all. If you're looking for a quarterback, this is not really a good draft. If you're a sucky team that need a quarterback to lead your team right now, this is not a really good draft unless you are the Raiders and you get Mendoza. But a lot of these other teams are simply not. We got Carson Beck and all these other guys, but these guys are going to be, they're not first round talent, so these guys will be outside the second round. You always got one that they'll reach to. Maybe it's Ty Simpson from Alabama. I don't know. But at the end of the day, you'll see several quarterbacks that'll kind of climb a bit based on how they perform at pro days and scouting combine. But some of these other guys that I mentioned earlier, these guys had really, difficult years that kind of dropped their stock, their rankings. A lot of these guys last year, if they'd went last year, would have been top picks in the draft. They would have been top picks in the draft, because Klubnik was tearing it up. But anyway, we'll see how it all performs. But unless you give us a second round pick or something like that for Spencer Rattler, I would not let him go, because you got to always have a good backup quarterback just in case something happened, God forbid, with your starter. Y'all know how this works. Anyway, with that being said, man, I'm going to get on up out of here, man. Y'all hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. By all means, feel free to share the show on social media feed. Check out all our fantastic sponsors in the comment section below. Also, shout out to FanDuel, the official sponsor of the Sports Coma. y'all do y'all betting on FanDuel, man. That's the largest and best in the game. Anyway, with that being said, man, I'm going to holler at y'all on the Tuesday broadcast. Shout out to the Patreon champions and the YouTube membership family. Got new content coming up soon. Tomorrow for our On Q with Big Q Patreon people, we got part 2 to the oil war. That'll be coming up Tuesday at 5 o'clock on Patreon. Not to mention we'll have some more draft content for you guys for our YouTube membership families that will be available, and we'll take a look at some of the draft people, some of the top players in the draft, and get familiar with them as well. All this is on our patreon.com/Pro Media Network, or simply join the YouTube channel and you have access to dozens of lock content that we've been doing for 5+ years here as far as that's concerned. With that being said, I'm out. Hit the like button. Peace. Shout out. Who that?
Hey, New Orleans! Whether you're catching up on Saints news at Jackson Square, checking Pelicans scores in the Garden District, or staying updated on LSU while grabbing coffee in the French Quarter, there's one place that keeps you connected to everything that matters in our city. From Bourbon Street to the Superdome, from Preservation Hall to the Riverfront, New Orleanians are staying in the know with thehootitdaily.com. Your daily source for Saints, Pelicans, LSU, and all the sports, music, and culture that makes our city special. At work downtown, at a game in the Dome, or just relaxing by the Mississippi, wherever life takes you in the Big Easy, you can stay connected. Because when you're from New Orleans, you don't just live here. You stay in the NO. That's stay in the know. Visit thehootdatdaily.com and never miss what matters most to Who Dat Nation.
Welcome to the Pro Shop, where we create authentic NOLA-inspired clothing for men, women, and children. From Saints jerseys to Pelicans gear, everything's crafted right here in New Orleans. Whether you're shopping the Pro Shop, the Pel Shop, or the Pro Shop Kids, we've got your whole family covered with genuine merchandise that represents our city's spirit. Check for links in the description section below or in the chat.